Today I'm talking to Joanne Nemerovski of Compass Chicago. Within the first 5 years of her career, she was the youngest recipient of the Founders Award for selling over $100 million in real estate. Unique Homes gave her the title Mega Broker of the Midwest. And just prior to joining Compass, for 5 years running, she was the #1 producing individual agent for Berkshire Hathaway Home Services in the entire Midwest region. She is a regular contributor to articles in several business and industry publications, including Crain's and Chicago Magazine and Chicago Agent. She has received numerous awards from the Chicago Association of Realtors. In 2007, she was ranked simultaneously as the #1 agent at Koenig Strey and the #2 agent at GMAC out of 22,000 sales agents nationwide. She has consistently been named one of Chicago's elite top producers by the Chicago Association of Realtors each year. Today, we talk about how caring greatly is her competitive edge. Welcome to the Jerry Metcalf Podcast, where top real estate agents tell how they do it. I created this podcast because over the years that I've been an agent, from struggling to successful, I found that the one thing, the one foundation that created the mindset, knowledge, and ability to break through to new levels was the camaraderie and sharing of ideas from other generous and successful agents. Those experiences catapulted my career. They gave me the inspiration and idea to further develop those friendships and share what they have had to share with me to make not only more successful careers for each of us, but a stronger community and better respect for our profession at large. All right, everybody, it's the Jerry Metcalf Podcast, where top real estate agents tell how they do it. And today we are so excited to have one of the top agents in the country and in Chicago, Joanne Nemerovski, and a good friend of mine. Joanne, it's so good to have you here.
Hi, nice to see you.
So we're going to get started by tell us a little bit about how, because we all know you're a top agent, luxury agent, represent a lot of really great household names that we can't disclose. But do tell us a little bit about where all that started and why and how you got into real estate.
Well, how I got into real estate was I was a practicing attorney. I had a really sort of an interesting job, but also a career that was moving in a direction of really being 24/7 and not being super exciting. I was sort of negotiating things on corporate structure, and it wasn't exactly what excited me. And I went with a friend of mine's mom who was relocating in Chicago and needed help. And my girlfriend wasn't in town, and she was like, take my mom, help my mom. She's got to find a place. And I was like, okay. And we were looking at pretty expensive properties for her mom. And we went to a few different places. And I loved looking at the places. I loved listening to what my girlfriend's mom was really wanting. And after seeing a few agents, I was like, wow, I think I could do this. I think I would really like this out and about. Wow. And like, it takes in your legal skills with the negotiating the price and stuff, but it also takes in the humanitarian part where you really want to solve someone's problem. They want to make a move. You want to find the best place that's suited for them at the best price with like holding their hand through the process.
That's awesome. And I love that you just said holding their hand through the process, because we'll talk a little bit about that. But I think something you're really good at is really understanding how to give the client the attention and care that they need. But before I give it all away, I do want to ask you, if I didn't already answer it, you can add more to it, but what is it that gives you, what do you believe, it's such a competitive industry, especially an industry where you're in the city of Chicago, there are a lot of agents in Chicago, there are a lot of, clients to be had, a lot of people after.
22,000 in the surrounding area.
22,000?
Yeah. I think they said 42,000.
Maybe, I was going to say 42, because in Atlanta, I think in Atlanta, they're 20, but in Metro Atlanta, there's like 75,000.
It's crazy.
So, and I'm going to put a kicker in there because we're both at Compass. At Compass, there are 8,000 maybe there are more now, but whatever there are, 8,000, 9,000, we're top 3 in sales volume in the country. Just saying.
Right.
Anyway, everybody, that's just cool, but you don't have to be at Compass to listen, and you don't have to come to Compass if you do listen. But I just love to share that with my fellow Compass agent and a good friend. But back to real estate. So my question is, we're clearly in a competitive industry. And being in such a competitive industry, what gives you that competitive edge to keep you both a luxury and top agent in sales volume?
Well, I think at this point in my career, what keeps me there is my clients. It's completely a referral network of amazing people who we take them through the process and they feel really good about it. And so they recommend us to their friends. And that's the number one source of business and the number one source of continuing sort of keeping a top level in this industry in Chicago, because it is very competitive. Mm-hmm. And people always ask me, well, like, how did you get started? Like, did you know so many people in Chicago? And, you know, I did know a lot of attorneys because I was an attorney. So my first year in the business, I barely sold 4 places, but the 4 places that I sold were all to fellow colleagues that trusted me. They knew I lived with integrity and that I was going to do the best I could for them. And then each one of them sent me at least like 6 or 7 friends in the next 3 or 4 years. Wow. So it really jump-started my career. I would say having people that had the knowledge of who I was to start, and I've kept all those people. I'm helping one of the main people that was in the law firm, him and his wife, find their like 4th house right now.
Wow. So yeah, that's awesome. What do you, and I guess, well, first let me sum that up for everybody a little bit. So it's really for you, what gives you your competitive edge is, I mean, what I hear is you're just organized, you're concise, and you have your act together. You're not trying to go get every deal you can get, but
every deal I can get, but I'm trying to do the best I can for every deal I do get. I'm trying to keep the client's interest, you know, at the utmost of my, you know, mind at all times, and really try to do a great job for those people.
How many clients do you think you probably handle at a time? And I'm sure that varies.
At a time, I would say, you know, some people are more actively looking than other people.
That's true. Yeah,
so
exactly.
Let's say you have 8 or 9 people that are actively looking, like every day you're doing a search for them and you're checking the hot sheets and you're making sure they're getting sent listings. I mean, I probably have like 10 people like that. But then I have other people that are kind of on the back, like they rented from me like a year ago, and I know in my mind that they might come back and be looking to buy. Like
exactly.
They weren't sure, they were relocated to Chicago, weren't sure of the neighborhood, weren't sure exactly what they wanted. So those follow-up people, I don't know, there could be 30 of those.
Exactly. So you work as, in your business, I mean, you're very focused on your client. It's pretty much you until 5 years ago?
Well, I've always had an assistant, and I've had the same assistant, Tanya, who is an integral part of my business for the last 5 years. And, you know, people have always been like, why don't you have a team? I don't understand why you don't have a team. And I have tried a couple times to wrap my arms around having a team, but it's hard when you do things in a certain way and I'm really passionate about what I do. And so I like to make sure that things are handled the way I would want to handle them. And it's hard to spread your wings, really. I think it's hard to find people that want to be all in and really take care of people the way you do. So I've been very lucky with Tanya, and we work very well as a team together. And actually my daughter, Rachel, is coming to work for me at the end of August, which I'm really excited about.
Yeah.
She just has been working in the advertising business for 9 years and just is leaving her job to come with us. And then we just hired another sort of administrative person. So we're really busy, and we're hoping it continues in a great way, but not really looking to make it a team.
Yeah. And I think it comes down to, you know what you want, and what you want is to have agents, you're working with agents you really trust, that you build a relationship over a long period of time, like your daughter and then Tanya, and just focusing on the client. And I think that's your business model is take the time, focus on the client, focus on quality, not quantity. Would
Yes,
that be?
quality, not quantity.
So what about your business are you most excited about, and what are you most proud of about your business or your career?
What am I most excited about? I would say I'm consistently excited about Chicago. I love Chicago as a city, and so I'm excited to be representing Chicago, especially with the private client team. I just love that I'm,
So tell us a little bit. We don't talk about the private client team a lot. We had Kevin Snedden on, who was the founder of the private client team.
He's amazing. He came up with such a brainchild, in my opinion, where we've gotten to meet people from across the country who are representing Compass in the best way possible. And we've gotten to know them, and therefore our clients, which we have many that have multiple homes, home in LA, or they'll have a home in, New York.
So, well, I'll pause for a minute because they still don't know what it is. Is the private client team, is it the private client group or team?
It's private client network.
Network. Okay, private client network. So the network is a group of agents selected basically by Kevin from individual markets. So Atlanta, Chicago,
New York,
Beverly Hills,
Miami,
San Francisco. Where's San Francisco?
We've met people from Dallas. We've met people
Dallas,
all over the country.
So every market, key agents in every market, so that when you or anyone at Compass or anyone anywhere has a client that's got, many people working, especially with multiple high-end clients, have clients who have multiple homes in multiple markets. So being able to bring your client to Kevin, to the private client group and say, okay, I've got a client who has a home in these markets. What are the best agents and what is the best kind of team to consolidate this and help our client make a good decision? I mean, I don't know about you, but when my client is moving to another city, if they haven't chosen the agent, I know who to use. If they have chosen an agent, I have always in the past made sure to make a relationship and I can't tell you how many people don't know when I'm talking to clients who are buying in Atlanta and they don't know the agent on the other end of the deal in San Francisco or wherever it is. You've got to know that agent to keep that deal together. And God forbid your deal in Atlanta or your deal in Chicago or your deal in whatever market you are listening to goes wrong, and they've got an agent in another market and they're in their ear about their frustrations in your market. Guess what just happened? You just lost the listing because they're going to refer it unless you establish a relationship with that agent in that other market.
For sure. And it's also helpful just to be able to brainstorm together and be super collaborative.
Exactly.
And instead of the whole sort of genre where the real estate brokers were really competitive, the thing I like the best about our company with Compass is we're very collaborative instead of competitive, and always talking about elevate the industry. And I love that model. Elevate the industry, live with integrity, and do something that you can be proud of. And I feel like at Compass, especially these agents that have been chosen specifically for the private client network, they're really amazing agents from all walks of, different places. And it's been really incredible getting to know everyone in that group.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I love that. So is that what you're most proud of? Or did we answer that question? I think you were good getting into that through that. What you're most proud of, excited about in your career?
I think the thing I'm the most proud of is the consistency that I've had through the years of being a top agent in Chicago. It's been very consistent. I've had a range of sales and I've lived within those ranges for, 25 years probably. So each year is a new year, brings on different challenges. The marketplace is different, but we've eked out sort of similar high numbers every year.
How do you think you're able, because you do, what do you think the common denominator is of dealing with that inconsistency of the market? Sometimes the market's great, sometimes the market's low, but obviously you're a great problem solver, but how could you articulate for us how you do it and keep your numbers up and keep your success high?
Well, I think one thing that's really interesting in the real estate market is when the market is good, people will call like their friends or their cousins or whoever they know that's in the market. They don't feel like they need really a professional, someone that has sort of consistency in the marketplace. But as the market tightens up, it's actually better for people who've been in the market a long time, have established success, because it's like, you're not going to pick up the phone and call someone just to get your house listed. You're going to make sure, if the market's difficult, that you're hiring a professional agent. And I feel like, so when the market's easy, we all do well, and we're all thriving. No matter what your level of experience, you're thriving. And as the market sort of tightens up and people go to more experienced people, the people at the cream at the top will always do well, because people are more particular about who they hire.
And you can handle the challenges in those difficult markets much better when you've got experience.
Definitely. So, I mean, what I'm the most proud of is when I walk around in downtown Chicago and I'll run into someone at a restaurant or whatever, and they're like, she saved us. She, like, you know, and they'll give some story about how that's what we live for, right?
Exactly. So tell me, when you, like, you've been, how many years have you been an agent?
Oh my God. I'm starting to, like, actually downplay the years, but I've been doing this like 29 years.
That's insane. I remember when I met you, and I'm sure everybody watching this thinking the same thing. It's like, I thought she was 29 years old. We didn't ask her how old she was. We asked her how long she's been in the business. But yes, everybody, she's been in the business for 29 years. So, yeah, which I think is amazing. I've been in it 15 years, actually 16, but I'm stuck at 15. Isaac's tired of hearing that.
Right, I feel like I got
our regular listeners, I'm like, just stick to 15. I'll just stay at 15. But yeah, I forgot what I was going to say because I lost track of being so worried about 15 years in the business. But here's where I'm going with that. You know, 29 years in the business, you have been through a lot. You've seen a lot of different markets. You've seen a lot of good and a lot of bad. What do you feel, if you can just pause and go back to some of your biggest lessons that you've learned? You know, even we all don't become successful without making mistakes. What are something you would be willing to share with us about something that went wrong, that went well, or just like a big, like, aha lesson that you learned and how you learned it and took it forward in your career?
What was I would say the biggest mistake that I've made in my career, which I hate admitting to this, but
well, then don't. True. No, as long as we can learn from it. Don't kill me. No,
I think it's good if you're starting in the business to hear this from someone, and probably the way the world is right now, it would be extremely obvious this. No one would make this mistake. But I left a pretty thriving legal career, like, as far as I had a great firm I was working for. I had a lot of contacts. I had all my law school friends. And I left that, and I did every single thing I felt like right to set myself up in business. I looked at it as a business instead of, a lot of people start in real estate and they're like, oh, it's like a part-time gig. I knew I was going to take it as a career. And I set myself up with all of the, right things to go, but I did not follow through with all the network and the contacts that I had that I could have really used. Like, had I just immediately before I really started and jumped in and said, okay, here's all the people I knew in law school. Here's all the people I know from my family, which I have a huge family. Here's all the people I know from here, and really taken those people and done some of the things that young people are doing now, like the blogs, of course it was before the blogs, but I mean, all these things where, like, with social media, I mean, I have lost track. I've sold thousands and thousands of homes, and I have loved the people that I have been working with, and I never contact them. Never. If people call me, I respond to their call within 24 hours. I'm totally on top of it. I'm helping everyone that calls me, but I'm not reaching out. I don't have time anymore, and I want to make sure that I'm not, it would have been better had I been consistent across the board from the very beginning, written down all my networks, set them all up, and followed through that way. Instead, I've sort of let the business carry me instead of me being out there and really following through.
That's when you build a team. No, but I love what you said, because I'm guilty of the same now, and I never thought I would be, because I felt like I had to work so hard to get it. But then you get to a place and you really just want to enjoy the people you work with and really be engaged. And I think everybody's strength is their weakness. Your strength is that you engage and you engage in the people that are with you and need you, you're there for them. And the other ones that need you, but they may not know it yet, or you'd have to go after them a little bit to make it happen, like, then they just don't happen. But that's why the clients you have get the best of you. But what is, and I say that to kind of send the message to everybody, but I also would say, what do you think is the answer to solve that? Because that is some of your strength.
It's hard to have the kind of time you need to solve it. Like, I keep thinking, I mean, Tanya and I, we keep going back to, we got to organize my contacts. I have to make sure that I have connected with all the people I've sold in the last 20 whatever years. And it's really hard to do, but it is true. When somebody calls me, I'm totally on top of it. But we all get these calls, you know, do you want to be like at the first page of your Google search? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do this? I'm always like, no, I don't want more people to call me. I want the people that I care about to call me. I want to make sure that if someone calls me, I'm 100% hands-on and I'm really helping them. But I'll get a call from someone like, I'll get a call from someone who's pretty well known, and they'll, like, this happened to me, and an actor called and he was like, I really want to see this place. What's your name? My name's Jim. And I said, oh, Jim, do you have a last name? And he goes, I don't have a last name. And I said, well, if you don't have a last name, then I can't get you into that house. And he said, well, you must not want to sell it that bad. And I said, oh, no, quite the opposite. I don't want to show it to someone that can't afford it, doesn't know what they're looking at, and
doesn't have a last name.
Is gonna make it difficult for me to explain to my client why I let someone I didn't know into the house. And so I said, best of luck. And I hung up, and he called me back literally 5 minutes later. And he goes, my name is Jim. If I said it, you would totally know it. And I just said, and he goes, and I do want to see the house. And I said, okay, great. And I said, how can I verify it? He said, you can verify it. And he gave me a way that I could verify it. And I called him back and I went and showed him the house. But it's hard sometimes with people that are very well known to understand that at the end of the day, we're representing someone's home. We don't want to let people into the home unless we know who you are.
Exactly.
And it doesn't mean that we're not 100% in on it. It's just that there are certain things we have to be careful of.
Okay, Isaac, mark that, because we're going to do a soundbite on that, because everybody, that's so important. And how many calls do we get? I'm going to soundbite it and I've got somebody right now trying to get into a house thinking it's not important to tell me who they are. And you have to be you don't want to lose a sale for your client, but the way you put that was beautiful, because it's our responsibility. How many people are out there getting in houses for fun or to come back and break in? And I know people who have been victims of that. Luckily, not my clients, but exactly. So that was a great just example and plug for everybody. And we really didn't answer the question, but I do think that wraps around, and I'm dealing with a lot of that now as I've gotten where you are, and I really want to focus on the clients who are coming to me, and I love them, but I like to grow. So building a team and bringing in agents who really, like you said, want to work. That's what's hard to find, but I feel blessed that I actually have a couple, and get out there and get it done and go after it. And I think that's where, I think the importance for everybody too is taking an interview like us right now on how do you become an agent that drives in, and then how do you build that team. You find really awesome people like you're building. And then something that comes to mind, I don't know if you know Jason Cassidy. He's in San Diego. He's actually a newer agent, but he's got this great accountability thing Isaac and I were just talking about, where he's an agent, but he's bringing these team members in, giving this accountability structure. But I just bring that in to say, I think that's he and you are a nice merge of how you kind of figure out how to make both work, because I think we're all dealing with that in our business all the time.
Right. It's definitely hard. You have to find people that work with the same level of integrity that you do. It's not just hardworking. It's also refreshing when you meet someone that really lives with integrity and wants to do a great job. Exactly.
And on that note, we talked a little bit about this before, but I'd love for you to share it with everybody again, because out there, there's a lot of, it's kind of like most agents kind of aspire to be in luxury. And everybody has an idea about the trick they're going to pull, and the marketing they're going to pay for, and the magazine they're going to be in, and the Google thing they're going to do, or the targeted marketing. And we have guests on our show that do all of that stuff, and they're very successful at it. But at the end of the day, none of that works without something we talked about before, which, it's the common denominator. You said something, but I want you to say it. I don't want to be the one to say it, but about our clients and your clients, and they're worth a lot of money and they have a lot of influence, but at the end of the day, you were talking about the transaction and what it means to them. And I'm going to let you take it from there about dealing with your clients. And
well, we were just talking about the fact that no matter how wealthy someone is, you could have $100 million, still where you live is an extremely emotional part of your life. And what you call home, you want to make sure that you have an amazing home to come home to that feels good to you. Whatever that looks like, it's different for every person. So you can't have an idea in your head about what someone else should live in, but you do have to listen to what their ideas are for themselves and really make sure that you're fitting the bill on what they're looking for. And I think it's interesting. There's so many wealthy people that I've helped find homes that when you really get down to it, they're very nervous about making the commitment and they really want someone to help them make the right choice.
Exactly. And that goes a little bit into also, everybody's got strategies about balance and time management. And then there's the reality of what it means to be a real estate agent. When your client calls, guess what you should probably be doing?
Answer the phone.
Right. So give us a little bit about that and what that looks like for you and how you do manage your time and manage the, the hands-on. I mean, you literally have one assistant and you're dealing with 10 buyers at a time. What do you deal with? 10 listings or more? I think you deal with
usually like probably about 15 listings.
15 listings at a time, and they're all, your price ranges go pretty high. So what are the price ranges of what you typically do?
I've actually been, because Chicago luxury market has been a little bit tougher in the last 9 months, I've taken some listings that are more in the, I don't know, like $600,000-$700,000 range, right, because those are really selling quicker.
That's kind of like Atlanta. Yeah.
Heavier bread and butter. But we've had this month has been amazing, and we've gotten rid of like almost all of our sort of expensive homes. And so we're in a good space now for getting some new listings.
So we're talking about, $500,000 to multi-million-dollar listings and clients that you're dealing with. So give us a little bit about how you manage to give them the attention they need. And is there any balance, or is it just you run?
I actually think there is balance. I feel like you have to set expectations, and I do answer the phone when my clients call. Between Monday and Friday, like 9 to 6, other than maybe like a lunch where I put my phone down, if I have a crisis going and someone needs me, I'm answering the phone for sure. But I also really do have a life balance in that I'll do something for like 3 hours. I mean, I'm really into walking on the lakefront or go swimming or a bike ride or something like that. And you don't want to be that connected to your phone 24/7. So basically when I'm with friends or I'm with family or I'm doing something, what I'll do is I'll take a couple hours and then I'll take 10 minutes and just quickly go through, is this a crisis? Is this an emergency? What are we doing? And I'll make sure that I answer what I need to. It really is time management. Like there's some things that if somebody's asking for a showing Thursday, you can put it off and respond to it when you're done. Well, if they're asking for 2 hours from now, you got to change your schedule.
Well, and not only that, it makes me think about the book 4 Hour Work Week, Tim Ferriss. Let's get him on the show too, Isaac. Come on, step it up. I think he's because we had Chris Voss, and then we need to get Gary Vee on here too. But where I was going with that, though, is in Tim Ferriss, he's a great podcast too, by the way, but he's got a great interview. His second interview with Tony Robbins is amazing. But he talks about in his book 4 Hour Work Week, when you're making calls, there are things that, like being an agent, you're kind of like, like, by the way, here's mine right now, right here. Don't look, there are messages. I can't look.
Right,
I'll answer them when I get done with the podcast. But this, you can and I do it sometimes, you're just never not stop looking because you just want to be on top of everything. But he said if you put it away, like an hour, you'd be surprised when you pick it up within it's exactly what you're talking about. Within 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you can knock a lot of things out. And a lot of things you just want to respond to, but you weren't really needed for, have taken care of themselves by then. That's a great lesson. He probably puts it a lot better than me.
Totally true. And
but that's a great way.
Important things is we're so lucky with text. I mean, you don't even have to get into a long conversation. You can just put check, I got it, great. Like it just, people want to know that you are on their team and that you heard what they're saying and that you're, it doesn't have to be like any long, huge, engaged thing. So
that's awesome. Well, something that resonated with me too, for what you just said, to share with everybody, I'm going to bring Chris Voss into this, y'all. I can't not do it. But right. Chris Voss, it never split the difference. It's to what you said is, in one of our one-liners that we never released, and we may actually have to go back and release it now, that Isaac pulled for us, he talks about how many people walk away from a real estate deal and from a real estate agent. The deal closed, but they don't feel good about their agent because they feel like the agent didn't care and they were pushed into a corner and they had to do it. And he says it's all in the way you handled the negotiation and you handled the client. A lot of times it's like, well, sorry, you're going to have to reduce your price. They don't have to do anything. Right. You need to educate them and help. They've got to understand that you're empathizing with them first and then offering them educated options, not just this is what you have to do, because you're making a lot of assumptions.
But why?
Right.
Why do I have to do that?
Right.
Here's the comps. Here's the reason. Here's the last sales. Do you want to be buying your house back for this price? I mean, you have to really resonate. Say enough different things that you're resonating with them, one or another.
And give them the option to not do it. Give them the option to not do it and help them understand, here's what might happen if you don't do it, and here's what might happen if you do it. And a lot of people say you got to tell them what to do, but I think, especially with the clients that you represent, you've got to empathize and got to educate because they're used to making their own decisions and get them in a place where they can make it.
They're used to being really, I'm negotiating something right now, and the seller said to me, well, should I just call the buyer? And I'm like, it doesn't really work that way. Like, you have a broker, you have a lawyer, calling. But I listened to him and I realized that there's one person he trusts. He's been uber successful. There's one person he trusts, him. So I said, if you really feel strongly about it, I guess you could call the buyer. But it's not like what's done in the industry.
Exactly. And a lot of times say, well, it feels like a good idea because this, this, and this. And they say, yeah, that's right. And then you go, once they hear that, and if you do that, here's the other things that could happen. Right. Is that okay? Exactly. And if it is okay, great. But if it's not okay, now they've decided not to make the call.
What to do. Right, exactly.
But it's just empathy, which I know you're such a great listener because every time we talk, I always do all the talking because you're doing so much listening. But that's why you're so successful.
I think listening is really important. And sometimes listening between the lines, which is something that people aren't as good about. But like, you have to listen to what people tell you, what they want, and then really hear what they're saying. Like, what do they really want? Because sometimes people will be like, I don't want anything unless it has an elevator in it. And then it's like, you start talking to them about why, and you could figure out, well, they actually could do a duplex if it was on the ground, I don't know. That's not a good example.
Well, no, I think it is. It is.
But basically, you have to listen to why. Because sometimes we'll hear something and we'll be like, oh, yeah, that makes sense to me. But it makes sense to you for a completely different reason. Completely different. I was showing something to somebody and they said, how far is the parking from the actual apartment? Like, how far does my client have to go from the garage to the elevator? How far? And I was like, geez, I don't know, 35 feet. Mm-hmm. And in my mind, I was like, okay, is this person invalid? Is this person lazy? Like, what is it? There's something to it. So instead of my own little attitude, I just shut up and I said, I just have to ask you why, because maybe I can have a reason if you give me like, what's, why? And they were like, he doesn't want to have the paparazzi walking with him through and so I figured out that actually he could make it within 4 steps to the back stair, and he could just get right up the stairs and no one would even know or see. He could pull right up, go to the back stairs, not take the elevator, and be up to at least like the 2nd floor, and then take the elevator the rest of the way, and no one would even see him. And he was like,
because
wow,
you knew,
fantastic.
Yeah, you knew,
I knew enough to ask why.
Well, and something that helps me remember that is Bruce Hamilton is a client of mine. He's not famous. He doesn't mind me quoting him. He said I could. But we talk about negotiating, and he negotiates for a living. He negotiates with a lot of unions, or for a lot of corporations with unions. I think that's, forgive me, Bruce, if I'm off on that. But he does a lot of negotiating, and unions are involved. And he talks about, is to your point, this is what helps me remember, to always remember what you said when I'm dealing with a situation is, there's what their position is. That guy's position is, I want to be as close to the elevator as possible. What's his interest?
Right.
Position and interest. You know their position, but you really got to, the interest is, he doesn't want the paparazzi to find him and get pictures of him. So if you know the interest is the paparazzi, the distance to the elevator may become irrelevant by your solution of how close the stairs are. I love, that's
right.
great.
You always have to try to listen further so that you can understand what's really important. Sometimes, people are going nose to nose on, the pricing, and then all of a sudden you'll start talking to them and you'll realize that actually to one person, the timing is significantly more important. And so you can sort of help edge things along with what's important to different people is usually different
and
things.
They may be afraid to tell you that because they don't want to get cornered into paying more for a house than they should or they really want to.
Right.
Yeah. Love that. Okay. So what has been, in all of this business, what would you tell us? Because we're going to get ready to close this out with our final 3 questions. But I want to bring this all together for everybody. In your career and in your business, what would you say is like your biggest aha?
Well, I would say my biggest aha is no matter who I've worked with, really just recognizing that each person choosing their home, whether it's, a $500,000 place, and it's like, that's still a hugely important thing. It's a huge investment to the person spending that. And if it's like a $5 million or $10 million home, it's really important to that person as well. So basically, I think just how big and important buying a home is to people. Even if it's your second home, people are really keyed up to making it the best place they can for themselves and their families, and
sometimes even more so. Yeah.
It's really important.
Yeah.
And just making sure that you're listening and that you're giving them the choices that.
So now, final 3. First question, what do you find is your most impactful tool that you utilize for business, supporting clients or growing your business or whatever that might be?
I'm going to say it's like the old-fashioned knowledge of the market.
Yeah.
Knowledge of the market is the best tool. Like knowing whatever it is that you're supposed to be an expert, make sure that you know it. Make sure that you know the housing market where you're at. Make sure that you know what is sold, what is not sold, people that have had their places on the market a long time, what pricing isn't going to work for them, and what kinds of things in the interior are really selling right now. We have this new thing, Compass Concierge. I don't know if you've used it.
Yes, we're about to use it in a big house in Buckhead. Yeah.
We can walk into a house and instead of, sort of the normal real estate thing where you're like, oh, shoot, these people have not changed their bathrooms, they haven't changed their kitchen, their walls are a dated color, they really need to do these things. We can offer them a means of changing things to be really what the trends are. And so people are ready to sell.
Exactly. Well, just so everybody understands that doesn't know, we front it. We do it. We make it happen.
It's an incredible opportunity and makes Compass so visionary and so unique from other companies. It's really an opportunity, but it allows you to look at a house and say, wow, if we change the carpet or we change the pillows or we change these few things,
a few $1,000s can go, $10,000 can turn into $100,000 more quickly.
For sure. So I think expertise on the market and knowing your neighborhood and knowing what's sold and what hasn't sold and what has worked for people is probably the best market tool.
That's a great answer. What is, if there's one book that you would recommend we read that it would impact our business or our life? Because they're kind of become the same when you're an agent.
I think all of the books, work-wise, Getting Yes, anything on negotiating, Never Split the Difference, all of those books are really helpful to sort of build your own confidence about this market and about how tough it is. And I always usually say to people, if these discount brokers are everywhere now, it's really a competitive market. And how do you keep your position and not give away your own money. But then when you think about it, if you give away your own money, how quickly are you going to be to have one of your clients reduce their price or something? So I feel like the negotiating skills books are very helpful.
Mm-hmm. Y'all know how I feel about that, so I'm not even going to say anything. I'm trying not to, Isaac. Okay. Never split the difference. It's great. The last question is, what is the one thing, if we're only going to remember one thing from this interview, what would you hope that is?
I would say that amazingly enough, after all the years that I've been doing this, I still love what I do. And I'm super excited to bring my daughter into the business and to have such a great assistant to share my days with and to make the job not only rewarding, but fun.